I'd like to call the Proctor City Council meeting for Monday, December 19th, 2022 to order. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll perform a roll call at this time. Councilor Benson,
Present.
Councilor Reuter,
Present.
Councilor Johnson,
Present.
Councilor DeWall,
Present.
Mayor Ward is also present. Please let the minutes reflect all others in attendance, including Attorney Bray and Administrator Rich. Looking for a motion to approve the City Council meeting minutes for Monday, December 5th, 2022.
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda, but before we do so, I'd like to add a couple of things. First off, correct the date, December 5th to the 19th. Also, can we add 5E, PUC Roundup Program? 5F, SEH Supplemental Letter Agreement for 2nd Street. And 5G, Resolution 49-22 Conditional Use Permit. And I would like to add that 5G actually, could we move that up to 5A since we have someone in attendance here tonight? And with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda. I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Reuter. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Here.
if you could, please let me know what 5E was again?
PUC Roundup Program.
Oh, yes, thank you.
You are welcome. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. At this time, we'll take comments and suggestions from the citizens present. The public comment and suggestion period of the meeting is when the City Council offers a time for everyone in attendance or watching from home to address the City Council. Once we move on from public comment and suggestion period of the meeting, members of the public will no longer be allowed to address the council unless the mayor acknowledges you. As a general rule, the council will listen to all comments but will not comment on or respond to any comments made by speakers. The council will not engage in dialogue. However, any council member can ask questions. If you'd like to address City Council during public comment and suggestion period of the meeting, please come forward to the podium or dial 218-628-6289. Before you begin, please state your name and address for the meeting minutes. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing City Council will be prohibited from using obscene, profane, or threatening language or boisterous conduct that disrupts the meeting or the security of the public. Is there anyone at this time that is interested in participating in the public comment and suggestion period of this meeting? And Rich, if you'd like, you can discuss your item when it is presented on the floor. If you'd like to, unless you want to do it now, it's up to you. Yeah, let's do it when we're on your topic. Perfect. So we'll give that a minute to see if anyone dials. Hearing none, we'll move on. Looking for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Councilor Johnson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. That'll bring us to 3A, Clerk Advises Council, Sears Housing Initiative. Administrator Rich.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, I have been attending a series of meetings with Cirrus Corporation. They are looking at adding new jobs to their family in the next year, to the tune of about 140 new jobs. And they are feeling the housing crisis or crunch and their ability to recruit new workers, recruit and retain. So they've called a group of community leaders together. We had an initial meeting where community leaders shared opportunities, challenges in our communities regarding housing. The second meeting was last week, and we presented as community leaders to contractors. They invited area contractors to have a dialogue. We had a 5-minute pitch that we could give the contractors about what's available in our community. And then the contractors could share with us some of the things that are causing them hardship for creating new housing. Of course, rising interest rates right now, inflation that's causing a problem for them. But by and large, it was infrastructure. Infrastructure is the hardest thing for them to put in and very costly to them. And Cirrus is looking for all types of housing, everything from multifamily, affordable housing, all the way to executive housing. You know, a single family, mid-level to upper executive housing options. And so it's been a good experience, and I'm keeping PETA up to date on it. One item B relates to this is, if there's any other questions on that, I'll move right to what my recommendation is, the Kirkus Street Utility Feasibility Study. There's, Proctor owns, I believe, Troy, what was it, about
17 and a half.
17 and a half acres on this side of Kirkus Street, along the railroad tracks. And I believe the history is that you required that for housing one day, another development. I would recommend that we act sooner than later and do a utility extension report on that to see what we'd be looking at for cost, so that when contractors do come knocking on the door, we have some cost estimates. We have, is it possible, is it not possible, about how many houses could fit at our current zoning, because I think this is going to happen fast. And we need to be ready for housing developers should they want to do a project in Proctor. I did run it by PETA, and PETA made a recommendation to council to look into the cost of a study, and once we get the cost estimate, to move forward with a feasibility report on the property.
Council have any questions regarding any of those items? Councilor Benson?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. At one point, the city did that, where we took all the land within the corporate limits based on the current zoning to find out how many units we could place on those parcels. I can't remember when we did that, even if it's still feasible. But we've been through that exercise, and if we can't find it, I certainly would endorse that. Especially, I think it would help out the community in general. If we're looking at multi-level housing, because younger people don't really live in their houses. You know, they live in the cafes and the bars and restaurants with their friends. And I think that's what we're missing, is that opportunity. So.
And we definitely, thank you for that, Councilor Benson. We'll take a look and we'll try to see if we can find it. I'm looking more of a feasibility study at a higher level, specifically looking at that property and where and if utilities can be extended and what would be needed. You know, the little things, PETA a while ago ordered a wetlands report on the property, which is helpful for contractors. So that if we can start checking the boxes for contractors, it shows the contractors that we're working with them and towards them. The good thing is that all of the contractors reported that communities' design standards are not a hindrance to them. They do want to build developments with curb and gutter and streets and sidewalks and lighting and you know, fit what the community's vision is for housing, rather than simply just putting something in just for the sake of putting it in.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just have a comment. I think it's wonderful. I think it's great that we're looking forward. Thank you.
Just one thing, Mr. Mayor. I don't remember us doing that since 2017, Councilor Benson. I think you're thinking prior to 2017 when we did asset allocation. Land
Yes.
was available. We didn't acquire that property until 2018, I believe is when we, or 19,
This could have been 20 to 25 years ago.
because I was trying to find something back 2 years ago, and I couldn't find it for that specific, but I believe this specific property really works well with what Administrator Rich is trying to hash out with Cirrus, for example. And I would think that with PETA making a recommendation, I think it was to look at what it was going to cost to do it first, and then bring it back.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I'll make a motion to direct Administrator Rich to get cost estimates on a feasibility study for that piece of property and bring back to a future city council meeting.
I'll second that.
Councilor Euler seconds that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Councilor Dwell, you got some?
No,
Oh, looked like you were going to say something.
Just-
Hearing none. Councilor Benson? Yeah.
I would certainly be interested in a continuing report on that feasibility study, what it's going to include, and, you know, certainly I'd like to fast track it because I think other neighboring communities are farther ahead with things like that.
I would agree.
But we have, you know, the League of Minnesota Cities, the trust that I sit on, we've discussed these and we've done studies on each member's community and what it's lacking, and I might be able to pull that out and share it with the administrator and PETA,
Awesome. That'd be good.
if I could find it.
Great on. Thank you for that. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Oppose? Motion passes. Brings us to 3C, I-35 Steering Committee. Administrator Rich.
So again, another series of meetings that I've been attending, and this is looking at I-35 revamping, I guess you could say, from Proctor, Thompson Hill, all the way down to West Duluth. And they're looking at the interchanges, the safety, crash reports. It's fascinating, actually, information. And they did take a look at an Uggstead Road interchange. A lot of challenges with it, and they studied traffic patterns to see how much traffic that affects. It's a very complicated project, very costly, to the tune of about $40 million. And it doesn't affect a lot of traffic patterns. And so right now it's looking at that part of the project might be getting edged out, but they're just in the focus sessions of this right now. So keep an eye on it. They're going to be doing Boundary Avenue improvements. There's a couple ideas around. And right now they're just sharing them with the steering committee because we're hashing out ideas and talking about it. And of course, once you put a plan on paper and you release it to the public, they think it's, you know, that's exactly what it's going for. So not quite willing to share it publicly yet. It's at a very high level design, but I will continue to go to those and make sure Proctor's represented.
Thank you for that. Any discussion regarding the
Can I
I-35?
just ask a quick question? When they're talking about the Uggstead interchange and being expensive, are they just looking at, I think we've always thought that we just needed an on-ramp going south and an off-ramp coming north, not a full interchange there where you can do everything. And, you know, you drive out the Uggstead Road and you look at having an on-ramp going south there. I mean, crap, it's already almost built, you know, you can see the hill. What they could do is make it go up the hill and tie in the same way coming south, you could come off and get on that frontage road. And I wouldn't see that as being really expensive.
So can you say that you looked at an on-ramp going, can you repeat that for me, please?
Well, when you're going, when you're coming from the Ugsted Road, you want to be able to get on Highway 35 going south.
Okay,
In the same way, when you're coming north, you want to be able to get off so you can get to the Ugsted Road.
yeah,
But other than that, you know, if somebody's coming down the Ugsted Road and they want to go to Duluth, it's only a mile down to what's already the interchange here. I don't think,
sure.
you know, it's just that I think getting, especially the one coming off in that area would really benefit the properties out there that we've been trying to get businesses in. And
Okay, that's good feedback to have, because the plan that they presented for an interchange on Ugsted was way more complicated than that.
Full-blown.
see, and I don't think
Yeah.
we need that.
And they do have to, every time they do an interchange, they have to get federal approval for it, and it has to be up to federal standards, so, you know, but I will definitely pass that information along.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on.
Just one,
Councilor Paul.
they have something very similar around Moose Lake. So if they say they haven't done it, Moose Lake, there's the first,
Right.
you can only head one direction.
Yeah, going south, you can get off, and coming north, you
Right.
get on.
So what Councilor Reuter is expressing is that type of interchange,
Sure.
just to add more to your notes.
Any other discussion? Going once. Hearing none, we'll move on to 5A. On our agenda, it would be 5G, but we're moving that up. That's the conditional use permit for TNR properties. John, if you'd like to fill us in a little bit, or Attorney Bray, I'm sorry.
Your mic, John.
Yes, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends to City Council to grant a conditional use permit for the purpose of essentially a day facility, and maybe the applicant can explain a little bit better.
Thank you for having me. I just want to chat with you and basically talk about what I talked about last week with the zoning department. We're moving our facilities now that we've had down in Lincoln Park and in the Duluth area since 2006. We just purchased the property on 206th Street. We're looking to move our day facilities there. Our day program is a 245D licensed facility for 30 clients with brain injuries, mental health, and DD. Right now, we're serving 20 clients in that property, or will be. They're the 20 clients living in R5 corporate adult foster care properties. We have 5 properties in the Duluth, Hermantown, and Proctor area. We serve those 4 clients in each home, so those 20 clients will be coming to that day program. We also can take 10 clients from the community or other facilities. At this time, we have 1 person coming from another facility. We're very selective about who comes to our program. That was one of the questions last week, who's going to be attending, what type of folks we have there. Lots of times people refer to our clients as, and I say client and patient, I always refer to them as folks, they're people. There was a lot of questions last week about safety and the safety of the community, and that's a big thing for us. Anytime we open a facility anywhere, whether it's a home or moving a day program, and this will be our 3rd day program that we're going to be operating. We have facilities here. We also have facilities out in Ugama, which is White Earth Indian Reservation, so that's a separate company. It's a PCA company, and I can talk about that if someone has questions about that as well. But the facility that we're going to be doing there up here in Proctor will have anywhere from 8 to 10 employees. We'll have roughly 7 to 10 administrative staff there on a Monday through Friday basis. The day program itself, our clients are there from 9 to 3:30, and those are billable hours, and that was a question that came up last week, when they can come, and they typically will come 9 to 3:30 because those are our billable hours for our clientele. With that, I'll open it up to you guys if you have questions. I know there were some concerns last week. There were some questions from the community. There were some folks here from the community, and I think I answered those I think people were satisfied, but I just want to, again, open it up to you guys if anyone has questions, concerns.
Council, does anyone have any questions? I got one, I'm sorry, go ahead, Council.
Mr. Mayor, you first.
All right. We just passed a lift assist ordinance in Proctor. Do you guys get a lot of lift assist calls at your facilities, or are you properly staffed to handle those?
No, we're properly staffed to handle
Perfect.
this. Yeah.
That was going to be one of my questions, was what was the, if you looked at how many calls where you had to have first responder in the Duluth, what percentage, and then that led into, you said 8 to 10 staff with 7 to 10 administrative. Out of that 8 to 10, I would assume that's like RN nurse, LPN?
Correct. We have RN on staff, we have a psychologist on staff, a psychiatrist on staff. We have our HR department, our behavior analyst is there Monday through Friday, who sees clients daily. And then we have a day program coordinator who coordinates the day program on a daily basis. As far as to address the calls to our day program, we've been licensed as a day program since 2008. We've had 0 calls to our day program from the police, 0 calls to our day program for any services, for whether it's a health concern, fall concerns, anything like that. So the fire department's not called. We handle all those things internally. We have a 7-person crisis team on staff, 24/7, 7 days a week. That was one of the things come up. We actually have a home up on 6th Street here in Proctor. We've had that facility here since 2006. It was nice to hear last week that nobody really knew that we had that home, and we like it that way. So that's I know there's a stigma out there about group homes. I always say we're not a group home. We're corporate adult foster care. We do things differently. Myself, my business partner, Mr. Kreesh, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, we talked about this last week, and it's a big thing for us. We're very selective about who lives in our program, who lives under our 245D license. The folks that come to live with us, again, we are licensed for DD, mental health, and TBI, but we're very selective about who comes to live in our program. They have to be community ready. And I know there's a stigma out there about group homes. And that was a question and a concern from last week. And I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that I know there's that stigma out there. For us, again, not a lot of people know who we are, and that's how we like it. And there's a reason for that. I did talk to someone after the meeting last week. I think since 2006, our facility up on 6th Street, we've had, I believe it was 3 calls since '06 to that facility.
I was just going to add, Mr. Hine, that to the council anyway, they have a very good track record with the fire department with their existing house on 6th Street. As far as, and we have others in that maybe don't have such a good track, but this company does have a very good track record. I never saw any abuse, and there was a couple times we were there because it was a fire-related situation. I can't remember, it was like a gas smell or something.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that can happen anywhere in the winter when we get 2 feet of snow. So, I mean, from their track record in town here, they've done exceptional, I feel.
No, and it sounds like.
Yeah. Correct. I know Councilor Benson had asked last week a question of, it was just why leave Duluth and come to Proctor. The big thing for myself, my business partners, we're from this area. Our kids went to school here. This is what we know. That's part of it, a big part of it. And I did talk to a couple of counselors before I started tonight, is the crime in Duluth. We've been dealing with a lot of crime at our facilities, whether it's in Lincoln Park, our downtown buildings that we have on Superior Street. Whether our vehicles are being vandalized. I actually had a vehicle vandalized this morning in broad daylight. So we get a lot of calls. We're making a lot of calls to the Duluth Police Department on vandalism and just things happening to us as far as our buildings and things like that. And we don't see that here in Proctor. So that was a big thing for us, and that's what I had talked to Councilor Benson last week about. So that is a big reason for us moving up to Proctor.
I was just going to comment that the conditions are fairly limited. Mostly relating to a couple of things. Hours of operation. They're allowed to operate from 9 in the morning till 5:30 at night, which is a kind of a 2-hour budget factor for them, because they typically, their clientele goes home at 3:30 or so. And aside from the hours of operation, they have to comply with all state, federal, and local regulations, including licensure issues. I believe those are noted in the conditional use permit, or proposed conditional use permit I just sent you guys.
I would assume that those hours are for the people, but the administrative team or
Has a couple of extra hours
to get some
yeah.
paperwork duties done, charting, or, so
Yep.
it's more of a restriction for the clientele.
Right. I
Not
mean,
the office people.
We added a couple of hours at the end of the day to allow them, that's specifically what we talked about, to allow the staff to finish up what they're working on.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that fits with what you need.
Yeah, that was one of the questions my HR department had asked, as far as the conditional hours, doing work after hours as far as 5:30 or a Saturday if they have to come in and prep for a meeting or training. We do all our training at that facility too, so all of our staff training. Training for corporate adult foster care and our day program. It's going to sound very silly, but the state's training is roughly 12 to 15 hours before someone can work. Our training is 50, so our folks have to work, anyone that's hired gets 50 hours of training before they go to work. They also have on-the-job training with another direct care staff. They go through training with like CPI training, so they go through a crisis prevention intervention training with our HR department, our behavior analyst. So that was one of the things that our HR department had asked, as far as, you know, if the lights are on in the evening, is someone going to come knocking at the door like, hey, you're violating your conditional use?
I'm just picturing the facility as a hub for your other homes, and obviously for every home, every medical personnel, you got to have some administrative backup. And I don't see that as a issue at all. It's quiet. It's not like,
Yeah, and I don't speak on behalf of the planning and zoning, obviously, but I wouldn't think there's an issue with people going in on the weekends doing some training.
I think the intent was your programming.
Okay, yeah, and that's never a problem. Like, again, our clients are, it's pretty strict as far as 9 to 3:30. The only time someone would maybe stay an extra 15 minutes is a pickup or something. A lot of our folks, again, they have to be community ready. So we always talk about our day program being a hub. It's just a place for them to start. So they start their day there. Most of our folks are going to college. Most of them they have jobs. They have on-the-job training type of stuff. Folks that are at our day program are getting, cognitive rehab, art therapy, They'll meet with the behavior analyst. They leave from our facility and go to whether it's therapy or counseling or any of their doctor appointments from our day program. So we have a vast array of different things. And I did have sample last week. A couple of folks wanted to look at them for the zoning department. So anyone that wants to look at these, I did bring samples of our individual abuse prevention plans, our support plans, and then also our day program prevention plan. So if anyone wants to take a look at those, I can pass those around, or they can take a look at them after the meeting. And those plans are updated for sure quarterly, and depending on how the person that's living in our program changes.
Council have any other questions? Hearing none, and this came with a recommendation from P&Z, Attorney
Yes.
Bray? Thank you. So we're just looking for a motion to approve the conditional use permit for TNR Properties and Focus on Living, Inc.
I'll make that motion.
Councilor Johnson made the motion. Is there a second?
I will second.
Councilor Benson seconds it. Any further discussion? Councilor Benson.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I attended the public hearing as an adjoining property owner, and the hearing lasted approximately an hour. A lot of good questions, a lot of information, and that was before it went to the commissioners for their discussion. So I would encourage a yes vote.
Thank you for that,
I
Counselor.
was satisfied.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Welcome to Proctor.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That will bring us to 5A, 2023 Medallion Hunt Event Approval. So in our packet was an application for a special event for the Medallion Hunt 2023, put on by Midwest Communications, looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Counselor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. 5B, 2023 Committee and Commission. In your packet again is a list of committee and commissions with highlighted openings. I believe Administrator Rich before the meeting said the asterisk ones are the ones going out for applications. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
So I don't know what council would like to do, if we want to act on these now, take a look at them, and do it first meeting in January. Keep everything the same like I think we did last year, but the floor is open for discussion. Hearing no discussion, I guess I'm personally good with, thanks for attending, Rich.
See you, Rich.
I'm personally good with everything that I see in front of us, but I don't know if there's changes out there that people want to address. Or if there's a committee or commission that somebody's interested in sitting on, we can always do that too.
I can go through these, each one, and you can have a discussion, or I can point out some
Sure.
items in. Okay, so the first, your meetings, if you'll just take note that you do have some Tuesday meetings, actually quite a few for this year, due to holidays or, they're all due to holidays, actually. So particularly, the next meeting is going to be held on a Tuesday. Actually, in January, both of them are Tuesdays. Your city council, that was determined by the election. Public utilities, of course, we filled a vacancy in PUC, so there's no decision to be made there. Planning and Zoning Commission, you have Commissioner Lowell Harnell, that his position is coming up. There is no council appointee to that commission. PETA, you have a vacant position vacated by Councilor DeWall. So that will be advertised, and then Jim Schwartzbauer's position is open as well. And so that will be advertised for applications. And Mayor, I believe you're a council appointed?
On PETA, yeah, I
On
was just going
PETA?
to say that.
Yep.
Councilor DeWall was put on as a resident/business owner. So I'm good with staying on PETA unless someone else expresses interest. I won't be heartbroken over any of them, but I do enjoy sitting on PETA. It's been fun the last few years. So. Do we need a motion on each one of these, or?
It'd be cleaner, but you don't have to.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion to seat Mayor Ward on PETA. I'll make the motion to seat myself on PETA.
I'll second that.
Councilor DeWall seconds that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose. Motion passes.
Moving on, Liquor Control Committee, we have Councilor Roweter is on Liquor Control. Actually, both Councilor Johnson and Roweter are, but Roweter, your term is up on Liquor Control. We kind of spaced those so that they would be always one city councilor on there, so.
I'll stay unless you want me off.
No, but I'm not making a motion. I had to make a motion for myself.
I'll make a motion that Mr. Roweter is still on there.
Councilor Johnson made a motion to seat Councilor Roeder on Liquor Control. Is there a second? I'll second that by Councilor Benson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
On public safety, we have 2 city councilors sitting on, and please correct me, maybe Troy, you were appointed as a fire department member at one point, I don't know, or a city councilor. I couldn't go back that far to know.
I was appointed as a firefighter. And then it was just back in the day when Chief Wobig ran it, he just always sent out letters, did you want to stay on it? So I kind of filled one of the residential / business seats of it. Because both chiefs are, and it should be one of those, like, it should be chief of police always has a seat, fire department chief always has a seat, street department foreman always has a seat. So unless somebody else wants to get on it, I'll gladly step away. Otherwise, I'll continue doing what I do.
And I'm just wondering, because you can have my spot on it if that other position needs to be a firefighter or someone else.
I don't think there's anything written in there. I was outgoing chief at the time when we really got cooking with this. And then I just stayed on.
So we'll entertain a motion to seat Mayor Ward and Councilor DeWall back to the Public Safety Committee, unless there is interest from somebody else. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Hearing no discussion, I'll entertain a motion to seat Mayor Ward, Councilor DeWall.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Reuter, seconded by Benson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
Moving on to Parks and Recreation, again, we have Counselor Johnson and Counselor Reuter. This is the opposite situation. Counselor Johnson, your term is up on Parks and Rec Committee.
I'm okay with continuing, unless somebody else wants it.
Hearing no others, is there a motion to seat Counselor Johnson?
So move.
Counselor Benson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
Tourism Committee, I'm sorry I don't have that highlighted, but Counselor Benson, you're the council designee to the Tourism Committee.
Counselor Benson, are you still interested to remain on tourism?
Yes.
Is there any other interested parties? Hearing none, entertain a motion to seat Counselor Benson on tourism.
So moved.
Counselor Reuter made the motion, Counselor DeWall seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
No action on beautification and trees, no action on Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals. Street Committee is Counselor DeWall. The Street Committee has been fairly inactive in the,
I don't believe there has been a meeting for 2 years.
I don't think so. And I think our code calls for a Street Committee, so it's good to have it in place.
Counselor DeWall, would you like to remain on the street committee?
Unless somebody else would care to not have a meeting.
Is there
have
anyone
a
else
title.
that would like to sit on the street committee? Hearing none, entertain a motion to seat Counselor DeWall on the street committee. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Johnson. Any discussion?
Just that I see there's an asterisk next to Mr. Jones. Does that mean that's up? Okay.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
Cable TV Commission, Counselor Benson.
Counselor Benson, are you interested in remaining on cable TV?
Yes, but I will defer to others if they,
Is there any other interested parties to sit on cable TV?
I'll make a motion that Mr. Benson stay on cable TV.
Counselor Johnson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Reuter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
Civil Service Commission, no action. Employee Health and Safety Committee, no action. Personnel Committee,
I think this one is spelled out in the city code
I believe it is too.
as far as mayor, and then, I don't know, is it mayor and councilor, or is it? I don't know.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to just confirm it with a motion. If both of you still want the position.
Councilor Benson, you still interested in personnel?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other interested parties? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to seat Councilor Benson and Mayor Ward on the Personnel Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
Emergency Management, I believe that asks for the mayor to be on that.
Do you want to do a motion on that one too?
Sure.
Motion to seat Mayor Ward on the Emergency Management Committee.
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
The Gulf Advisory Committee, Counselor Johnson.
I'm okay with being on it. If somebody else wants to do it, I can step off.
Anyone else interested? Hearing none, motion to seat Councilor Johnson on the Proctor Gulf Advisory Committee. Councilor DeWall made the motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Oh, Councilor Johnson.
Administrator Rich's name isn't on here. Is there, should it be?
It can be. I'll add it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other discussion?
Dang. Almost slipped this.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
And then the Charitable Trust Fund, that does call for mayor. Counselor Benson, you're on as a business representative. Your term is not up, but Miss Bryant's term is up, and that's open up for the community to apply for as well.
Is there a motion to seat Mayor Ward on the Public Charitable Trust Fund Board?
So moved.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
Your fire department officers will be chosen this month. They're up for their election. MIC representative, we have Mayor Ward, and then Counselor Benson as an alternative.
Councilor Benson, are you still interested in being the alternate?
Yes, I find it engaging.
Thank you, and thanks for attending the meeting last month this month in my absence. Is there a motion to seat Mayor Ward and Councilor Benson to the MIC representative?
So move.
Councilor Johnson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor DeWall. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.
The final ones are usually ones that you should do by statute, specifically your official newspaper, your city attorney, your blight and weed inspector. You can approve those you can approve them now if you'd like, or when we have applicants to complete the list, those are asterisked.
Say that again, Administrator Rich?
So this final list is usually like for ones that you should appoint according to state statute. Like you have to appoint your official newspaper, your city attorney, your building officials. Of course, we're under contract with the building officials, but it's a good idea to do it annually and make it a matter of minutes.
Okay.
You can do it now if you'd like to, or you can wait until the entire list is complete.
Financial institutions of record.
It's like we used to always do.
Yep.
First meeting of the year.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll save those
If
for
you
the
s-
first meeting.
and if you see some missing, please point those out to me.
Just on the negotiation committee, we got Councilor DeWall and Councilor Johnson on that one. Councilor Johnson, would you like to remain on the negotiation committee?
If somebody wants to take it, they can take it.
Councilor DeWall?
I would agree with that. But then we're right in the middle of it, so I don't know if it's fair to change it. Being we're in
I'm
the
fine
middle
with
of
what we got, I just, it's on the
negotiations.
list.
I'd
But
make a
I'm-
motion, we keep it the same.
I'm willing to step
Counselor
down.
Reuter made the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Benson, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, motion passes. That should do it.
Should do it.
Well, right in the beginning, you had highlighted acting mayor. Do we have to appoint
Oh,
somebody?
yeah, you do.
Oh, I'm trying to get
I
up
missed
there.
that one. I'm sorry, my
I would make a
packet's not
motion
in
that
color.
Councilor DeWall be our acting mayor.
Counselor DeWall, do you accept?
He does such a good job when you're not here.
Well, it looks like I'll be doing another commission meeting here. I will unless somebody else really wants it.
Is there any other interest by council? Hearing none, make a motion to seat Counselor DeWall as acting mayor.
Second. Or,
I'll make the motion, yeah. Did you-
I'll move.
You want to, okay, Counselor Benson made the motion, is there a second? Second by Counselor Johnson, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, motion passes. Megan, I'm sorry, did you have something?
I thought Rower, you're already moving what you're doing.
Did you?
It's fine.
That's fine.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay.
I started it out that way, but that's okay.
I'm sorry I missed you.
No problem.
Right on. So was that everything then?
I think so, and again, it'll be presented to you throughout January as applications come in and committees and commissions approve or recommendation.
Do we need to make a motion to accept the meeting dates? Or no?
You-
No?
No.
Okay. Any other discussion on 5B before moving on? Hearing none, we'll move on to 5C, legislative agenda. Counselor Benson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mayor. We briefly talked about some of the items at our last meeting. It's on our agenda, a whole slew of stuff. Since we last spoke, two other items could be considered. One is public safety, and that's to help recruit and retain police officers for small cities, and local government aid. At one point, it used to be half of our budget, and now it's down to about a third, and that helps keep public safety, police, fire, up to date with equipment and training. So, that could be a concern, or at least should be a priority. The legislature starts January 3rd at noon, and while the Democrats control everything, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easy. And we do have a new senator and representative. And they have been going to other communities already, hearing those concerns and agendas. And it's always good to have a game plan, and, the public safety and local government aid could be nothing more than a resolution, or, just contacting our favorite representatives and senators. But also, this is not a bonding year, but because of what happened at the state legislature last session, and some communities who got approval for bonding 2 years ago are going to be coming back asking for more money because of inflation and costs going up in supplies. And what they asked the state legislature for back then just doesn't work for them anymore. So there's going to be a lot of activity. And if we do want to consider a sales tax for almost anything, or even changing what we have to include adding parks to our food and beverage, that's something that probably should be done as soon as possible. I haven't seen the list, but I would imagine come January 4th, there'll be a whole slew of bills already in. And with Hermantown passing their referendum, 3 parts, hockey, baseball, and trails. The trails by far was the most popular, received the highest vote. And we may have that opportunity that now we're the missing link between Hermantown and the Munger Trails, which would be helpful. The SROs, we levy and with the school and of course with the county. Certainly this is, intergovernmental as well as intragovernmental. What do we do with our street department as we migrate to the new site? What do we do with the playground? We've had discussions about that going back a number of administrations on what to do with that corner of First Avenue and 3rd Street. So that's a rambling review of, I think, what's ahead and what should be done. I certainly would like to see a number of resolutions before the council at the next meeting so we could pass that along and get in the pike. Mm-hmm. And even though this is not a bonding year with all the money that they have, I think it's a great opportunity for us to go in and state our case for whatever sort of monies we need. We do have a number of projects out there. And I had some, where is that? At one point, I did have the, tax exemption for the Proctor Speedway, and I'm not sure where they are with their stuff. I think the tax exemption is a long shot. I don't think that's going to happen, but perhaps some recalibration of the Fair Board and Speedway Board might work. That's a little above my pay grade. So I stand for any sort of questions or...
Thank you for putting that together, Councilor Benson. We'll open the floor for discussion. Administrator Rich, with them going into session January 3rd, we've got a long laundry list of things, and they're all very good, but do we need to narrow this down to a handful, or?
No.
No?
I would say if we have an idea, we have an opportunity. We're talking about the 17 acres, and there is a list of cities already looking for infrastructure for new developments. So I think there's a lot of boilerplate out there we could draw from.
Okay.
And I'll, leave it up to our senator and representative to say, enough, it's not going to work.
Right.
That was going to be my suggestion, was to sit down with them and present this list or have a phone conversation or a meeting. I think you and I, Councilor Benson, met last time with our representative and go over the list, and they may have opportunities that they say, yeah, this is, if I can carry this forward, or no, there's a different avenue for it. So I think that might be the first step.
I'm good with that. Council have any thoughts on that?
I was just,
Councilor Duvall.
Mr. Mayor, looking at, and maybe I misheard Councilor Benson, but cities that received grants last year from the state are asking for additional monies because of inflation costs, cost of construction. I mean, we here in Proctor have encountered that just with our salt and sand shed. And I know at one point they kind of laughed at us when we started at 300 or so, 350, and we ended up getting 5, but would that be another, or is that already on the list and I'm not seeing it?
It is not on the list, but it certainly deserves to be there.
I mean, because we've seen quite a bit of overage on that. We had to delay some things because of it on phase 2. And if we're just going to sit down with our representative and go through this, I'd like to see that added at least, and be told no. But if we don't have to waste a lot of time creating this, I mean, I think this list is pretty thorough, I would just add it. And I don't know if that goes, you know, same thing with our playground. You know, some costs got incurred late.
No, I would agree, that would be a nice addition to it.
I mean, when, Ms. Mayor?
Councilor Benson?
And when I look at that list, and it is a laundry list of all sorts of cities and all sorts of projects, that we could easily just take out the city of whomever, wherever, and insert ours with our special need. That template is out there, and there's a lot of them, no matter, you know, pick a project, it's there. Safe school grants.
That first
Yeah.
one? The IRRB?
Yeah, the IRRB, thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Mayor. The IRRB has been reluctant since its inception, including Proctor. Even though we have more taconite on the ground than some of these cities have in their communities. You know, they just happen to be involved in the taconite area based on school districts. But because for the first time a Republican is going to chair the IRRB, and we do have our brand new senator who will be sitting on that board, that this might be an opportunity. And it's always good to go down to the legislature, I found over the years, and say, well, we were created to serve the iron mining industry, and we're not involved in the IRRB funding, which is why we need the state to help us out. So I think there's a lot of good arguments, and at least we should at least try.
Agreed, 100%. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to direct Administrator Rich and Councilor Benson to introduce this list to our representatives, including the item from Councilor DeWall. I'll make that motion if there's a second.
Second.
Said by Councilor Reuter. Any further discussion? Councilor Benson.
Mr. Mayor, and I would also like to have the opportunity that if we see something out there that might work in our community, to include that to the list.
I can include that in my motion if council's good with that.
Fine.
Perfect. You got that? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, motion passes. That will bring us to 5D, League of Minnesota Cities Grant Navigator Options. Administrator Rich.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a new program offered by the League of Minnesota Cities, and it is a one-time grant opportunity where they will pay a city up to a consultant up to $5,000 to work with the city in finding grants for particular projects. The two projects that I had in mind, and you can certainly change them if you have something else in mind. Again, this is a one-time, so I'm asking more of what's your priority? What would you like this application to go for? The first one is finding grant money to do a utility extension underneath, excuse me, I-35. And again, this consultant would help us look for grant opportunities, help get us on the list that we need to get for the state legislature for funding. The second one I thought would, based on Community discussions was finding funding for the Munger Trail extension and spur. Both very expensive projects, a lot of grant opportunities out there for them. SEH does have consultants on staff. That's who I would recommend. I've worked with their grant consultants and funding people before. The good thing about doing that, you can definitely hire another grant consultant, and we can go through that process. The process is just getting the grant. But their grant consultants work very closely with the engineers. So you're getting the added benefit of that grant person or funding person having quick and easy access to the engineers who are the ones that design the project. If you don't want to apply for it, if you're not ready for it, that's okay too. But whatever we apply for does need council support in the form of a resolution.
Thank you for that. So council heard the two resolutions. 4722 is to find grant funding for the I-35 utilities extension. Resolution 48-22 is finding grant fundings for the Proctor Hermantown Trail Spur. I guess in my opinion, I'm really worried about that land up off St. Louis River Road, that I think we need to start doing something with that. So I would prefer to do the resolution 48-22 for the Munger Trail. But what's council's thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with you. I'd like to see us do something on the trails. But on the other end, the I-35 extension under the highway over, we already have engineers' estimates on those originally, so we at least have data
Right.
to start with, so we know what kind of money we're looking for in a grant. And all, the trails all still, everything's still up in the air as
Right.
far as costs, and we don't even know exactly where we want to run it yet, or where.
Right.
I'd like to move forward with that rather than going down south, but I'm just wondering when it comes to going out for funding, if we're better off
Because we're so
maybe
far
looking
along
at that,
there.
because we already have estimates from before that we could at least say to ourselves, this is the kind of funding we're looking for.
Nope, good point. Good point, Counselor. Thank you.
And there's no way to do both. This is a one or the other?
Yeah, that's my understanding of the application process.
Well, and the other thing too is, Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Yes,
is,
Counselor.
Yes, it is
You know,
one project per
As far
se.
as grant funding, I mean, we've got $400,000 in trail fund.
That's true.
I mean, if we just need to come up with a plan and start doing something there.
Yep.
We have no money for the one down there.
Yep. And on Counselor Benson's legislative agenda list, there was something in regards to adding parks to the food and beverage sales tax, so that may be something that could benefit us as well in the future, so. Well, is there a motion, or we don't have to go with either one? It's council's decision, but is there a motion to go with resolution 48-22 or 47-22?
Well, I was looking at one direction until Councilor Reuter brought up what we have.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a very good point. We're so far along already.
We have, I mean, was your point that
We have monies,
set aside to continue, we just gotta put it as a priority on our to-do list and get something done? Or were you thinking, go after
more grants for,
the trail? Spur.
Well, my feeling is, you know, before we can go out and get a consultant and try to find us grant money for the trail, we have to have plan and cost estimates and things like that. And realistically, we have a bunch of money from our, you know, food and beverage tax that we could be doing something on trails right now and get started, or at least hire somebody to come up with that plan for us so we can go out for grants in the future. I just think that if we could find a way to get money to run the extension under I-35, that opens up all that property that we've been hoping something was gonna happen. I mean, they're both, I'd like to see both happen, but if we
Right.
can only do one, I think if it's something we have to do right now, I think that our money would be better spent trying to find out if we can get some grants to get the utilities extended.
Yeah, and, you know, I said what I said to open the floor, but I kind of agree with you that we're so far along with the I-35 study that it may look better too, so.
Well, and you bring up the interchange topic, and if we start having the ability to push utilities, that might help spur more of an interchange topic, or a half of an interchange topic.
Yep, Councilor Benson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And anything that could add to our tax base, you know, would be helpful.
Absolutely.
And I think at that point, that might be my priority. Because I've seen at the legislature, sitting in on those hearings, where there are some communities that the legislature will just say, you know, we're going to give you the money just to get it done. And I think that might happen with the Munger Trail spur. So I think the utilities for that would be my priority.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, just one more comment, to go back to you talking about the trails. I think we need to make a real effort. You know, we've been talking about something up there for years and years and years, and we've got money that's building up in the fund. That's not what's holding us back. We need to somehow get off of dead center and get a plan and get a cost and start doing something there. I'd like to see us focus on that a little as we go into 2023.
Nope. Sounds good.
And just to add to that, it just seems like we wait for this connection with Hermantown, and then things change on Hermantown. I'd like to see us focus on, here's where it is in Proctor, and here's how it connects to the Munger. So, you know, they come to Proctor, and they can hook up to the trail, and then, because it just seems like we take second fiddle to trying to juncture both trails together, or they end up, I mean, at one time, didn't they just go a different route all the way down to Duluth for their trip?
They were looking at that at one time. But I mean, even if we didn't focus up there right away, because we don't know exactly what's going to happen there, even if we went and worked on the trail between 35 and City Hall, you know, we looked at, City Administrator Rich looked at, you know, doing some trail extensions down along the creek here, and we could find a way to get over the hill and down to 35, and we've at least got a portion of that trail completed. You know, I just think we need to start somewhere.
I know 2 counselors that were just seated on Parks and Rec. No, and I think, I'm all joking aside, I think that's where that conversation should start, right? Parks and Rec should meet, discuss what they would like to see, and then bring it to us, and we can get moving on something.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have to add too, Proctor's been very successful in getting recreation type grants already. They are a playground for everybody. From a grant writing perspective, it's easier to find, it's easier to find recreation grant money than it is for infrastructure. And you know, having a consultant that can help you find those type of specific grants or avenues for infrastructure would be more helpful to me.
Perfect, and with that Sears meeting you just had, it would be very beneficial maybe. So what I'm hearing is council is more in favor of resolution number 47-22 to support in finding grant funding for the I-35 utility extension. Is there a motion to approve resolution 47-22?
I'll move.
Councilor Benson made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Reuter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Brings us to 5E, PUC Roundup Program. Administrator Rich.
Thank you, Mayor. This conversation came up recently in the office, so I'm sorry for putting it on the agenda without notice, but you can take action tonight, or you, as I said earlier, you can give suggestions, but the Proctor Public Utilities Roundup program has been designated for the playground for everybody. And since that project, we're finally finishing up the financials on that, and it looks like we'll be sitting in the black with the program, the project. Would you like to redesignate that Roundup money to another project, another cause? I think what we need to do is remind the Proctor residents that it is available. I don't think a lot of people know about it. It brings in about $80 a month right now. And I think with a little bit of rebranding and reminding people that it's there, I think it could be more successful. But if you had projects, causes, ideas, we can get notice out to the residents. And again, this is a option that they choose on their utility bills to round their bill up to the nearest dollar. That money, it's very easy to administer. It goes directly into an account. There isn't a lot of hassle on public utilities side. Our public utilities manager, Shar Jones, said that this has typically been a council level decision.
Thank you for that. Any discussion regarding the PUC Roundup program? Councilor?
If I could, just recently we got the good news that Reed program is willing to partner with the city to put in pickleball courts down here. It's more recreation. It's in the similar area. I think something like that could go towards that. It would help us to get the funds to get that project done.
It's a good idea.
There was two, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilor Wall?
That was on my radar, and then that whole, we've talked about this in years previous about the I don't know what to call it, basketball area or a four square area, but that old
Third Street?
3rd Street, something for our youth and kids to go somewhere safe. So either, and I don't know,
I'd be okay with that too.
I mean, do you have to specify it for
That-
one specific
That
project?
was gonna be my question. Can you be vague and say for parks?
Well, the only thing about that is you're only raising $80 to $100 a month. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of hard to have
$1,000
it
a
go
year.
to 3 things or 2 things.
Right.
I
So-
don't know, how are we,
But if we just call it for parks, and whatever project is available first, then we can pull that money for pickleball courts or 3rd Street Improvement Park but if we have to designate it to a specific project that, I don't know. Attorney Bray, any idea?
I think you'd be vague and exercise some discretion.
I mean, if we say parks, we obviously can't pull it for anything other than parks.
well, you,
Well, but not all of us may not be here for
Yeah,
6 years either. If it's this council's intention to prioritize it down to 2, and whichever one takes off first, I have a feeling the pickleball will probably take off first.
probably.
I'd rather just go with the pickleball court and specify it so counselors down the road would have to undo that, so to speak.
Sure.
well, and if we're successful, the legislature could get them to add parks to our parks and trails.
Right.
And we'd have money that we could do something with that right away.
Right. And the comments on social media for that pickleball court people were excited, so.
Positive, yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so.
So I think to Administrator Rich's point, if we re-educate the community on this program, maybe more people would participate knowing it's gonna go to that pickleball that everyone's seen pictures of and heard about, so. Counselor Benson?
And it's not going to cost any home more than $11.80 a year. And that's the max they're ever going to pay. So, with that roundup, it was a long time trying to get that onto a public utility bill. And, I think a rebranding, give it a nice fresh look would be hopeful. We you look at $80 a month, that's what, 8, 9 homes maybe, 10 homes? Not sure exactly how many people participate. Should be more.
Well, and with the recent completion of the playground for everybody, it kind of makes people think like, oh, they were using that for that, and look how wonderful it is. I'm just amazed. I hear more and more every day about these pickleball courts and professional athletes buying and are set in Florida. What was it? Tom Brady or set one up in Florida, owning it to get it going. I mean, it's just a up and coming thing.
Fastest growing sport in America.
I think it'd be, you know, you talk about rebranding, I think his idea, like, you know, the utilities could come out and say, you know, you've been doing this, and look at now the playground's done, now we're gonna move on to another area, and you've seen, you know,
Yep.
pickleball, and they could put another picture, you know, some kind of advertisement on the back of the bills or whatever, and I think that would, maybe we get more people.
I think so. I think that would work.
And I think at that point, you could also start, if it's done correctly, there's a lot of people out there that are willing to donate $100 towards that. You know, I don't know how complicated it gets if you have to create a fund for it, but I mean, I think we would all entertain accepting donations towards that. Not to make life more complicated, Administrator Rich, but I could see people, I mean, I have one in mind, my mother-in-law,
Right.
who will, because anytime the fire department sends something out, or first responders, or this or that.
Yep. All good thoughts. Is there a motion to continue the PUC Roundup program and designate the Roundup to the pickleball courts?
I would make that motion.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilor Reuter, or Councilor Johnson second that.
I didn't hear him. A motion doesn't, non-verbals.
Pulling the Winston Churchill over here.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 5F, SEH Second Street Supplemental Letter Agreement. Administrator Rich.
Again, this came in during the storm, but you can act on this tonight. If you need time to think about it, that's fine as well. We have been working the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 9th Street, 9th Avenue project on a letter of agreement up to a certain amount with SEH. It brought us this far. And so what they're looking to do is do another letter of agreement. You have this spelled out, what the amount would be. This fits in with the cost feasibility, the cost analysis that they put in the feasibility. There's no increase to what was originally reported in the feasibility. And what this does is it authorizes them to move forward with the design portion of the project. Again, the budget in there fits the feasibility report. There's no surprises there. It's just a letter of agreement saying that this is what you agree to pay them for it.
Thank you for that, Administrator. So the council's decision again tonight, if we'd like to accept the supplemental agreement for 2nd Street with SEH, or if council would like some time to review. We'll entertain a motion to accept if
It's the
council.
same, if it's the same as what we originally agreed to, I'd make a motion that we accept the letter of agreement.
Councilor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Nope, second by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. That'll bring us to members' concerns. Councilor Benson.
I have none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor DeWall.
I have two. I'm assuming the first meeting or second meeting of next year will see some department budgets that we can approve.
Oh, I am sorry. Finance Director Bloomfield asked me to bring that up tonight too. How do you want that structured? Do you want to have a separate budget meeting, a working session, or do you want it at council meeting?
I've always enjoyed the separate budget meetings, but I don't.
I think it warrants that.
Okay. And she did mention that to me today. I'm sorry I neglected to bring it up. We will schedule a separate budget meeting.
Thank you.
And then just wishing everyone a happy and safe Christmas
Thank you, Counselor.
before Counselor Johnson does. And Mayor Ward.
I'll go last, I guess. Counselor Johnson.
You know, it was a tough week with all that snow. I think our maintenance guys did an unbelievable job. And it's probably not just the maintenance guys either. It's got to be the office staff too. So thank you for what they did. And then, you know, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Hanukkah.
First day?
First day. I knew that too.
Second night?
That's it.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Reuter.
I have nothing new to say, no.
Thank you.
I agree with all that stuff.
I got a few things. The essays for Mayor for Day that was finished December 12th. We are going through the essays currently. We received maybe, I don't know, 60 of them maybe?
60?
Yeah, 60.
6 or 5?
60? Yeah, so we got some reading on our hands. I read the packets. Megan's going through the second one right now. So, some good ideas in there. Just another reminder, I know Administrator Rich hit on it earlier, but our next meeting is going to be January 2nd, which is a Tuesday. Again, the street department and police and fire and office staff all did an amazing job over this last week, so thanks for everyone's hard work and commitment. What's that?
January 3rd.
Oh, January 3rd, I'm sorry, I have it wrong on my notes. Okay, January 3rd. And then, again, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a safe, fun time with families. Attorney Bray.
Happy holidays, that's all I got.
Thank you. Administrator Rich.
Nothing for me.
Thank you. With that being said, we'll entertain a motion to approve the bills in the amount of $286,920.94.
So moved.
Counselor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor DeWall. Any further discussion on the bills?
I do have one. I'm sorry.
Or Administrator Rich.
And I don't, Megan, can you pull out the amount of what that was from PETA? Can you pull it up in my, sorry.
The one that's in here?
Give the check to Shar.
Yeah, PETA made a motion at their last meeting to take their budget balance for the year, 37,000.
Oh, the one I signed today?
Yeah, 37,500, their budget balance for the year, and apply it to the principal that, on the loan that they have with Puck to spend down some of their principal. And so they made that recommendation. It is within their budget, it's their budget balance, and the purpose is for debt reduction for PETA. So that is an addition.
Thank you for that, Administrator Rich. So there is motion and second, including the 37,000 and some?
37,500.
37,500 additional. Motion and second on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a
Before we
motion.
adjourn, do we have to say something about the new mics that Ted, took care of and?
Yeah, I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion on the floor by Counselor DeWall. Is there a second? Second by Counselor Reuter. Any further discussion?
It is.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Thank you.